One of the most profound things I've learned in my life is that it's actually not about my hair at all. I've spent a lifetime trying to cover up who I am. And as much as I love a good external transformation, and I do, I much more love a heart transformation. Join me as I share how I work to heal my heart, find happiness, and embrace our hair. Hey guys, and welcome back to the It's Not About Your Hair podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. As always, I want to feel like we're in this deep conversation and you and I are just hanging out and talking about hair, heart, and happiness. What would two girlfriends talk about? Anyways, today we're going to talk about, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see. If you're listening, you can't see. But I just got my hair straightened or had a blowout. And I kind of wanted to talk about, can you blow out curly hair? Is there like a difference between a curly haircut and a straight haircut? And what are they? And what's the truth behind coloring your hair? Is it healthy or is it not? And I thought, man, I was inspired after I just had my hair done. And I thought I would talk about it because I talk a lot about bleach being damaging to the hair, and it is, you guys, but it doesn't mean you can't do it or there isn't a healthier way. I think that heat can also be damaging to the hair. It is, but there can be a healthier way. And then there's the truth that it's also your life, so you get to do what you want with your hair. And I think that that's ultimately the most important. But my job, I feel like, is to educate you on cause and effect always. So there's not a right or wrong product. I choose the products that I use because for me, the cause and effect is exactly what I want. I only straighten my hair maybe 4 times a year. And the reason that I straighten it now, I always want to do this length check. And there's this secret part of me, if I'm totally honest, you guys, that when I straighten my hair, I have a fleeting moment of thinking that that's going to make me feel a certain way. And I used to. I would say 8 or 9 years ago, the only way I felt beautiful is if I straightened my hair. But the interesting part about that is I actually never really liked it straight. My hair doesn't feel soft when it's straight. My hair actually feels softer when it's curly. And so I feel like it was a dream that my hair would look like other people's hair straight. And I know right now, if you're watching it looks pretty good. I already have it half up because this hair is already getting frizzy on the top. And it's only been about an hour. So then what would happen normally in my previous life, or maybe you, if you're straightening your hair, is that you would end up, I will not touch my hair with a flat iron because one time of heat styling, my really, really curly pieces of hair, they start breaking almost one time. And so I won't put that direct heat on them because I feel like, again, more important to me is that my hair looks better curly. And so once I round brush, if it doesn't do what it needs to do, I'll use a steamroller sometimes, but most of the time I end up just washing it and wearing it curly because my cuticle needs all that moisture locked inside. So when I talk about raisins versus grapes, when we style the hair curly, we're locking water in the hair. We are actually filling those little holes where the curls are bending with moisture and then sealing that in. That's what a cast is. When we go curly, we have to completely dehydrate the curl, which makes my hair more susceptible to breakage. So I sometimes feel like if you're not as curly, you're not as prone to breakage, but the curlier the hair, the more likely you are to have breakage. Also, the finer the hair. So some of my hairs are very fine, and those hairs tend to snap. So it is understanding what is going to happen if I straighten it. Okay, if you're watching, you're going to notice that now I'm back to curly. I was filming that episode and had planned on filming the whole thing with my straight hair. And then the day got away from me. And here's the truth. I made it less than 24 hours with straight hair before I was longing for my natural curl again. I was talking about, if you're watching, my hair is curly again. If you're listening, then we're still going to go through all the things. But if you're watching, I just want to give a little explanation. So that it's so humid here in Michigan, and humidity expands or swells the cuticle, and my hair just doesn't stay straight anymore. So when I used to wear it straight, it would stay straighter a little bit longer. But now that I'm curly almost exclusively when I straighten my hair. It just doesn't feel soft, and this feels so soft. And I think you can tell it's so much shinier. Again, that idea that I was talking about just a minute ago about locking water inside curly hair to really help the curls to stay hydrated and juicy and create that shine. I was talking about breakage and what happens. And so when I was straightening my hair all the time before, what I would notice is the front of my hair would never grow. And that's what I thought. I even had so many curly clients that the same thing. They would say, well, the front of my hair just doesn't grow. Sometimes I would even put in extensions just on those front pieces to elongate. And what I've realized, you guys, is those are the areas that I would tend to over straighten, especially as a stylist standing behind my chair in front of a mirror all the time. During the day, if I notice those pieces getting out of control, instead of pulling them up like I did 2 seconds ago in the video when you saw my hair curly, I'd already pulled it half up. What I would do is over flat iron, curl, or straighten those pieces, causing more and more damage. And then that hair becoming more and more breakable. So it's not that it's right or wrong, it's good, better, best. If you want to see what your curls are capable, if you want to get to the point and see if your curls will last you, like when I first started going curly again, you guys, my curls didn't last for 7 days because I had so much bleach and heat damage. But as my hair has gotten curlier and curlier and healthier, the retention of my curl is so much better. Think about a rubber band that you've used 1,000 times. The first few times it goes right back, but as it begins to wear out, the elasticity is gone. It's the same with hair. So when we talk about heat and bleach, those things create a break in the elasticity. So the curl becomes less and less likely to bounce back. And we can use these things that we hear about on the market, Olaplex, K18. I'm going to be honest, I'm not super familiar with some of those products. I do know a lot of them. When we say bond builder, what are they doing? Does it coat the hair? Does it actually repair the hair? In some ways, I believe it strengthens the hair, going in and kind of rebuilding that structure. We talk about filling and sealing curly hair. Or any hair type, it's going to try and go in and repair those. But once there is a fracture in that hair, we have to remember it's much like cracked ice. If you continue to walk on cracked ice, that ice will continue to crack and eventually break. Same with our hair. Once that hair is damaged to that point, it is very hard for that hair. It is very unlikely for that hair to repair. So when I have people ask me, what can I use to bring my curl back after bleach or heat damage, particularly if you notice your ends are straight? And I'm going to be 1,000% honest, nothing. So what might happen is that you just don't get as much longevity. So if I have clients who have overly highlighted their hair and their ends are straighter, on the highest level of hydration on day one, we might get a lot of curl out of that hair. But the more we touch it, and the products wear down and the moisture leaves the hair, the ends do not maintain themselves. And no refreshing really brings that back as much as boosting that water again. So if you have really damaged hair, it's likely you'll have to wash your hair more often to keep those curls intact. Coloring the hair versus bleaching the hair is a little bit different. We're talking about levels of developer, which are the amount that it opens up the cuticle, damages the hair. So I do color my hair. If you saw in this video, just recently did. Most often I only use a permanent color with developer at my root, and then just a gloss on my ends to really on the outside of the hair, which is why it fades fast. And then you can do a couple of things to help prevent that with natural heat protectants like Sweet Spirit Leave-In Conditioner, Hair Love Prep Spray, even I Create Shine, all have levels of natural UV protectant to help the hair from fading. And it's not just bleach and color that lighten the hair. Hair that's really long or seen multiple summers, our hair, unlike our skin, is dead. So melanin is what makes up, it's why we get a sunburn. Our skin burns because it is fighting, it's alive and it burns. And it's why our hair fades or gets weaker in the sun, because it doesn't have the ability to fight back. Does that make sense? And so we want to protect our hair so it doesn't fade, and protect our skin so it doesn't burn. Both are subject to that lightening, but as the hair breaks down, because it's not rejuvenating itself like our skin, you know, if you get a cut on your finger, it will grow back out from, you know, if you get a cut on your finger, it will heal itself. If we cut our hair, it doesn't regrow back from the ends, it grows back new growth, okay? So you can't color your hair. What I caution against is lifting the hair. So time after time after time of lifting, high lift or lightener breaks down the bonds of the hair. So seems simple. I hope this is helping you to understand. And then the difference between a curly cut and a straight cut. And can you wear a curly cut straight? Well, you just saw that I did. But I will tell you that the way that I cut curly hair is incredibly different than the way that I cut straight hair. I've been a hairdresser for 30 years and I used to cut everything wet. And most people still do cut hair wet. What I have discovered with that is that curly hair lives three-dimensionally. Most hair lives three-dimensionally, but especially curly hair. And what I mean by that is it's not flat on the head. So if you have extremely straight hair, maybe that wet cut is going to be great. And wet cutting is great for those who don't really understand. I would say that that's a specialty, to understand dry cutting, to be able to look at the hair in its natural state, to be able to think about what's going to happen next, seeing that hair in its raw form. For me, also, many of my clients have multiple curl patterns. If you're watching, you can see I share this all the time. This section of my hair, totally different texture. It's soft and smooth. It's more wavy or flat curls, followed directly next to these extremely curly bits. So if I cut these the same length, these ones already struggle to look longer and I just hold on to them, you guys. But if I wet cut this by getting it all wet and pulling it down, these long pieces are actually much shorter than my really curly pieces. And so being able to shape or mold the hair, I always say, I feel like the curlier the hair, it's more like hedge trimming. You're molding or sculpting a shape inside of the hair that you see. And we can disconnect a lot in curly hair, which you can't do as much with straight hair. And straight hair, a lot of things that we're doing is breaking up weight. Again, I talked about this a couple episodes ago, but the hair can lay in sheets as straight hair and it lays in clumps with curly. So we don't want to necessarily break clumps up because then we create stringy curly bits. But with straight hair, we do want to razor, thin, texturize, because we want to break those sheets up to create more flow in the hair. You can wear a curly cut straight. It shouldn't be like one super short piece and one really long piece. It should flow. But I will tell you that my hair, if I want to wear it straight all of the time, I'd have a straight haircut where I really work to thin out some of the weight on my ends. My hair is much heavier. And most of the times, curly girls don't want to go bone straight anyways. They want to have a little bit of texture in their hair. But I do advise, for me personally, my clients are wearing their hair curly most of the time. Those are my ideal clients, and those are the ones that I think it's worth investing to see me, is someone who's really working to embrace their curly hair more often than wearing their hair straight. Excuse me, I'm gonna take it. So, and yeah, so I hope that this helped you a little bit to just, what is the difference between straight and curly? Why would we approach it differently? At the end of the day, you guys, I used to be just like some of you, and every 7 weeks I went to go get my hair done and look different every time. And even if you have straight hair, that's causing breakage and damage. I'm going to say something that's not popular in the industry, and I'm not, and other people know more than I do when it comes to this because I don't do it a lot. But a lot of these more modern hair color techniques like the balayage and things like that, they're painting the ends of the hair with lightener. If you have the ends of your hair painted over and over and over again, your ends are going to break off and split. So when you see a lot of these girls that take their extensions out and the ends of their hair look like frizzled and thin and tattered, that's not their hair texture. I promise you that's from that breakage of lightening that ends of the hair over and over again. Sometimes we have to be okay with where it's at and understand that what we have is what we have. Or be okay with wearing your hair shorter or having extensions all the time. But I've done that route too. And I think it's all temporary and exhausting. I think it's like spending too much money at the mall. It's so fun in the moment. You're like, I deserve this. I'm going to feel so good. And then you get at home and you're like, what have I done? Why did I spend all that money on this stupid shirt or these pair of pants? Like, it loses its luster. And that was the same. One time I spent, I don't know, $2,000 on hair extensions, long time ago. Long, straight hair extensions when those first kind of came out and you did the little bonds. And I had the longest, straightest hair, and it took 14 hours to put them in. But the minute my hair got wet, it was a nightmare, you guys. And it was so much work. And sometimes we need to do those things, though, to realize, like, that just isn't me. Just didn't feel right. So wherever you're at on your hair journey, I want you to know that it's okay, that you're moving along, right? It's progress, it's process, it's self-acceptance, it's exploration. None of it's right or wrong, except for blaming your hairstylist for why your hair doesn't look the way you want it to. Or if you're a hairstylist, it's wrong if you're not learning new things to get better at your skill and you're blaming your clients. It's the blame is wrong. The blame is icky. Self-acceptance is a journey, no matter where you're at. So I hope you're learning to love your hair a little bit more every day. I'm so glad that you're here. And I hope this, are you curly or straight? Totally. I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe to my channel, to follow me on social, and to listen wherever podcasts can be found. And join me every Tuesday at 2 as we unpack how to heal your hair, your heart, and your happiness.